organizations such as the Little League and the Township Fire Department, to name a few. So if you would please take a moment with me in honor of Mr. Hine. That we're going to call the meeting to order. Let's stand for the pledge and prayer from Pastor Frank.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands the nation and God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Holy Father, we love you, we honor you, we worship you. You are indeed generous to us in your love. You are patient with us when we are slow to listen to you and follow your leading. You are perfect in wisdom and in truth. We thank you for this community that we are privileged to live in. We thank you for all who serve this community in various positions and jobs to make this community safer and more enjoyable for all who live here, for those who visit from time to time. Grant each of them wisdom, courage, and strength to fulfill their responsibilities well. Especially, Lord, we ask for your presence and guidance for this council meeting. In the name of our Lord and Savior, name that is above every name, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Pastor Graham. Throw 300 for us. Okay, first on the agenda tonight's roll call. Well, actually, we're gonna do oath of office, then we're going to count. Go ahead and start with that, Lisa.
Please stand and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
And solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge my duties of the office
faithfully discharge my duties of the office
in and for the village of Blissfield,
in for the village of Blissfield,
county of Lenawee, and state of Michigan,
in the state of Michigan.
according to the best of my ability.
And with that, Lisa, we will go after the roll call.
Mike Gunner,
Here.
Gwen Dusa,
Here.
Bill Gritzmaker,
Here.
Sherry Luce, Ken Nichols,
Here.
Eric Rogers,
Here.
Timothy Waters.
Next, here to approve the minutes of the December 9th, 2024 meeting. Any corrections or comments? That would be motion, a second, please.
Move to approve the minutes of December 9th, 2024 as presented.
Support. Motion Bill second here to move the minutes of December 9th, 2024 as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, please call roll.
Sherry,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Next on the list are presentations and communications. We've got two in front of us. First one is the letter to our state legislature regarding village administration, please concern on Senate bills, House bills regarding convicted felons, and the leniency court system. I don't think you all want me to read through that. Second one is an annual public participation plan report. That's something that's required by redevelopment ready communities, as well as just in practice to make sure that the public does have avenues to be heard in front of council, and that will be a copy of that included in your packet as well. Annually, by any of those adopted or you can go.
It is just information for you guys. You did approve the letter, but I wanted to make sure that the public had an opportunity to see that. And then that plan is just a summary of things we already did last year.
Up next would be to approve the agenda as presented.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support.
Motion here, second one, approve the agenda as presented for January 13th, 2025. Any discussion? Now, Lisa, please call roll.
Bill,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is allow public comment to address council if they choose to do so. We just ask that you approach the podium. We'll start with Jackie.
Jackie Bates. First of all, I'd like to wish everybody Happy New Year. We're into it, but Happy New Year. I'm one of many residents that were very happy to see the advance continue on, as well as Borchards. Thank you to Rex and Lenny Chris for continued investment and support of your hometown. I'd also like to thank Maddie for her explanation and patience with the MC charge on my water bill. She's always pleasant, she's very helpful. I know the new meters have been a challenge, but I think we're on the home stretch. So all is good. I do have one question. In the payments, bills paid, there was $8,600 for roofing. Is it fair to assume that was for the SHDL library roof? And that it's finally been done, finished, and inspected?
Yes.
Yeah, finally. I know that was a struggle too.
Yes.
Yes, okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
Diane Burgermeister. And I just want to bring up the kind of the process for when you're voting, when there's an open seat, and congratulations, Ken. I agree with everybody. You're the best candidate we're the best candidate. Now you're the counselor.
Thanks.
But just wanted to draw to your attention, and I don't know, there was a mix up somehow, or maybe not. I wasn't aware of the interview questions ahead of time. And I had learned later that others were. And if it could somehow be maybe in an email or made known to candidates when and how to access the interview questions. Had I known they were on I guess, on the agenda, and I had the weekend to prepare, I would have done that. But just in the future, for people that, aren't as familiar with the whole process, to make it known how to obtain the interview questions, because for me, it was like a pop quiz. And I could have done a much better job in helping you all too, if I had been prepared ahead of time.
100% agree, and that makes it fair for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they were posted in the existing packet, but they were the same questions as previous, so obviously they were.
They were the same questions, yes, and I did not provide the specific questions to candidates. However, I did let all candidates know that the questions would be available once the agenda was posted.
But yeah,
And I
I
did
didn't-
share that with you as well when you and I spoke on the phone.
no, you just said that the questions that are would be asked questions during the meeting, not where they would be obtainable or how. So I didn't know that, and just in the future for people that aren't as familiar to know where to look. So, thank you.
Absolutely, thanks. I mean,
Yeah,
we do want to
you're
be fair,
welcome.
so absolutely.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Debbie Cooley. I have a complaint. And, I just am concerned about the property across from the old state police post. I am very ashamed to think that when people come into this town, they see the junkyard. And I would like to know why there isn't an ordinance or something to prevent this. It's quite the eyesore to me.
Are you talking about the cars, the property itself, like
The whole
that and
business,
everything? Okay,
the tankers, the wreckers, the cars, trucks. Everything that's there. It's really unsightly.
understood. There is a formal process. Well, it doesn't even have to be formal. You can make any complaint to the village office at any time if you have a concern about something that's not meeting village ordinances. But also, we do have ordinances in place that should be delegating abandoned cars, license plates, outside storage, that sort of thing, as well as maintenance on a building. So that is one thing. It's, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because if you start going after one person, you have to be equally fair across the board. 100%, we do need to do better in our ordinances and in our maintenance
Well,
codes.
I
Take care
heard
of
they were allowed special permission.
Hopefully, I would hope that that's not true. I don't think
So
that's
is
true.
there anything that can be done?
Absolutely.
I'm
absolutely.
gonna
Go ahead.
chime in here if I may. I made a formal complaint myself, just as Mike had stated, anybody can make that kind of complaint. I did as well. And Maddie did look into the ordinances, and at the time, this was approximately 2 months ago, there was no violation of any ordinance at that time. We are gonna be, excuse me? Did you say something, Danielle?
Yes, I was mouthing to Mike.
Okay, so, no, I thought I was supposed to- okay. So I do know that has been something that has been mentioned, and Maddie has looked into it. We are also gonna be going into looking into our ordinances. Danielle will collaborate with the grant that we received to look into the ordinances and revise them. But at that time, there was nothing that was out of the ordinance 2 months ago. I understand. I drove by there. It's ironic you say that. I drove by there tonight and I thought the same thing.
It just is,
I know.
it gets me every time I go by.
Yes, ma'am.
And I keep saying I'm gonna come to the meeting and complain, so here I am.
You got it on record again.
Oh,
Good.
And I don't know what else can be done, if there's something, you know, that I need to put in writing or whatever, I will. Just, there you go.
Thanks for listening. Thank you.
Danielle, I think you have
I'm
something.
sorry, yes. I just wanted to add, I appreciate you coming to the meeting and letting us know. There's a lot of information we can actually share regarding this property. Maddie has put a lot of work into it because we've actually had numerous residents reach out. Just because I don't want to provide you, misspeak or provide you anything, I think it would be best if you guys are good with it, that I will, under correspondence at the next meeting, put that information so that the public has it and that you guys have it. And that'll hopefully answer a lot of your questions and provide some documentation, because there is actually a special use that was granted by the council for that property, which makes it a little bit, or not a little, it makes it difficult to enforce some of the ordinances we have because of what was allowed there. But again, I can provide more thorough information in the next meeting, and then that agenda will be public, so if you can't attend, and I'm more than happy to send it as well.
May I ask one quick question, and Danielle, my guess is this is something that has gone back a period of time. In past councils
Yes,
a while ago.
yeah, and I have the date, but I don't recall off the top of my head, but I'll provide that with the information. And what we have found, investigating that and looking into it. And again, kudos to Maddie, because she's done a ton of work on that. I know it doesn't help make it look better, but she's not ignoring people by any means and has really dedicated a lot of time to that property specifically. And talked to the owner on multiple occasions.
May I ask the question or do
If it's regarding the same thing, please step to the podium. Though, then we, the public, can hear as well. If you would just state your name for the record, though, please.
Sure, Anna Gladys Frank.
Uh,
The only comment I wanted to make was that during, when the advance held that, meet the candidate forum, and there was talk about blight in Blissfield and about, people not painting their houses or a couch out in front of their yard. I think that building and all of that stuff around it is way more egregious than, somebody's house not getting painted right away, or especially if they're not able to do that, but, or, a couch out in the yard for a few weeks or whatever. And I don't know what the specifics are, but I just wanted to, you're correlating those two things. That looks way bad, way worse, so, thank you.
Appreciate it. It's always on the radar and our staff does, and again, it's always a challenge with time and, amount of people that we do have to do that, but we do appreciate that, and we try to get back and provide feedback to residents if they do have a complaint regarding that, so please reach out to Danielle or Maddie, we'll make sure it gets addressed. Anybody else that wants to address council? All right, we'll move on to unfinished business. Anybody have anything up here? I want to go watch mine, or I watch Rams, right? Okay, new business. Payroll.
Move to approve the payroll revenue for December 2024 in the amount of $164,556.02.
Nice for.
A motion bill, second Sherry to authorize payment of the payroll register, total $164,556.03. Any discussion? Lisa, please call roll.
Gwen,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Next would be to pay the bill for the month, December 11th to January 14th.
Move to approve accounts payable for the period of December 11, 2024 to January 14, 2025 in the amount of $258,630.62. Support.
That bill, sorry guys. Motion got second bill to authorize payment of the monthly bills, December 11th, 2024 to January 14th, 2025. The amount of $258,630.62. Any questions on the bills? Not, Lisa, please call roll.
Tim,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Up next on the agenda, the depot geotechnical review. Danielle, turn it over to you. We got
Sharon is here with Manic Smith, so I'm gonna defer any specific questions for this to him. But this is actually, it's been a little bit since we talked about this, so I did include the report that was provided from the structural engineer initially when they looked at the depot. This all started, DPW did some repairs to the foundation, we had some leaking going on, and there's some projects coming up for this property, roof, windows, things like that, and before we invested in that, we just wanted to make sure that we didn't need to do anything additional with the foundation and that it was solid. During that structural engineers report and review, they recommended this geotechnical. So it is coming to you guys. We did budget within our current fiscal year $12,000. So this item is $1,000 over budget. If we move forward, I'm not worried about that $1,000. I think that we can probably absorb that within the budget itself. For worst case scenario, it would come from the fund reserves. But if you have questions, I'm gonna refer to Aaron on that.
okay. All right, sir.
Good, all right.
Good.
Go Bills.
Yeah, so like Danielle said, that was a few months, maybe a while ago. So any questions at all here? So do my best.
I do, yeah. Okay, so I don't want to get the cart before the horse, so obviously, we've talked about the roof. The roof needs replaced, the windows need a lot of maintenance, reglazed, et cetera.
Right.
We're concerned about the foundation and the moving and the leaking and the river infiltrating the building. We've also got quote rumors of somebody potentially wanting to purchase that property down the line. We're talking about DPW possibly moving, so again. My question is it worth expending the 13,000 to do this, or do we potentially look at other options, moving the building, et cetera? Is that gonna save us money in the long run? If we're potentially looking at moving and splitting the parcel. You know, I certainly don't want to put a roof on it or windows and then move the whole thing to where we're kind of shifting the building and start from scratch. So again,
Yeah.
my concern is cart before the horse to make sure we have a plan of what we want to do, how we want to move forward. with it.
Yeah, and that obviously not my purview, we were just asked to look at it to see if there was sliding and anything going on there, if it was something that would have to be worried about, you know, shortly after doing the roof, so I don't know, Danielle, how you wanna, if there's additional conversation or something, but.
Yeah, there is an an individual interested in purchasing that property, but a lot of things need to happen, before that is even possible. I know since I've started with the village, we've talked about relocating DPW. Which Laura and I did meet with MEDC and we're very optimistic to find out that we can actually get that project fully funded. Another community had their DPW facility, a brand new one built and significantly upgraded, and that none of that came out of the cost of the local municipality. So we were excited to learn that, but it's not just finding the funding, it's also kind of getting all the ducks in a row and having property that's available that serves their needs. And that's something that we've been looking at, but we don't have just a large amount of properties that would be sufficient for DPW. So this is long term. I really would defer to you guys on this. And the initial structural engineers report, they did make mention of the possibility that you relocate that depot away from the river and just put it on a new foundation so that you don't have those issues. At that time, there was some concern from a few of our residents that didn't want to see it moved. I really think that's up to the residents and you as council, what your goal or priority long-term is for that. And this isn't something that I think you have to decide on right now, but we do need to, I think you're right, Mike, figure out long-term what we're gonna do, because what I didn't wanna do is recommend that we do a roof and then turn around in 2 years and be like, oh, by the way, we have to move this, and then we kind of undone what we just paid for. As an example, but I don't know if that helps for me these words, but.
Go ahead.
Has the depot always been there?
The depot was moved in there, so it originally, and I have a folder with the whole history, it was in Adrian at one point and then Deerfield, or I might have that flip-flopped. And then was moved into town and placed there, but since it's been in Blissfield, it has been at that site. And Al Smith is actually the one who did the foundation initially on that. When they brought it in, and my understanding is that kind of was changed. I don't think they were initially planning to have it set up like they did, and Al kind of came in and I think saved the day a little bit on that one. And it's been, I think, and Brent, you guys did those repairs, so you can speak to a little more. It's not leaking and that's holding up now. The concern is when we did those repairs that they were temporary and we just weren't sure how long they would last. And that's why we brought that structural engineering. It could be another 15 years. We just don't know.
Is this something that we could take to the committee of the whole and talk about for our goals for the term where we might want to revisit and look at a place for the structure?
Makes logical sense.
And because I'm not hearing that this is critical right now, I understand the need for it if we determine that we're to stay in it, question to stay in there, but I think right now we need to determine whether or not we plan to keep it there. And maybe here's some more information perhaps about the property there for the DPW is located. I'd like to, I don't know if I'm using the correct verbiage, table it or wait till after we meet with the whole with some of our goal plan.
So don't table it.
Okay,
You
not
can,
table.
a couple things, you can take no action tonight, or you can postpone it until after the goal setting discussion, which is actually scheduled for next week on the 20th.
I would go with more pulling it until that discussion takes place next week.
Let's have a question. Does the roof need to be replaced? Is it leaking?
It's cedar shakes and they're definitely beyond its use. A lot of cracked off and chipped away, so it'll probably start leaking shortly. Aaron, what exactly would the geotechnical review tell us? Just what's in the ground there, what's, if there's.
Yeah, so there is two soil borings that are gonna be done up to 40 feet. And then, so what that'll do is tell you if you have the proper soil bearing capacity in the soil, and that would tell, and then, looking at the way of the building and putting all that in the basement there, just to see if it's gonna continue to slide or if it's, related to the river at all. The inspection was done by a building inspector who definitely, knows what he's doing, but once it gets into the soils, they all go, never mind, look at the, get a geotech guy out here, because it's pretty dicey what you get under the ground, so.
And that's because the structure being next to the river, it's my assumption, or
Well,
not
either
necessarily?
that, it could be that, it could be the soils, there's a lot that goes on.
Doesn't
So,
have to
yeah.
necessarily be just the river then.
Correct,
Just the
right,
soil.
it could be the soils were built without proper geotech, so you didn't do an engineered fill underneath, or the proper stone or whatever was needed. And so you'd get a report, the deliverable of that would be a report walking you through what the potential issues are and then what the potential fixes would be.
And Brent, you said that bank has eroded away from the time that you.
A lot of
You can
it.
say that a lot of that is.
I don't know back there, there's some erosion back there in the pipe, but. I mean,
Yeah.
The building hasn't moved in quite a while now. So when we fixed it, when we got called over there was sand coming in and water running in the basement, so we hydraulic cemented cracks and. It's breaking in from the top, fixed it all, then we put a cloth matting on it, black jacked it. And then put some fabric on it, an underground fabric, and then filled it back in with dry dirt. We brought back clay, put back in there. To stop the sand from coming in.
Or it appears to
Both
not be
sides.
leaking currently.
Correct.
No, it's had
It is
since
not-
we did in
yeah.
it's been 2 years. Yeah.
Have you been at the bottom of the river and looked up and see if there's any erosion there? Or what is the footage from the building to the river?
Probably 10, 12 feet, 10, 12 feet.
And I think there was some rutting near the pipe where
Right, and
it
that-
floods up and then comes back and then floods up, and then, so it's constantly like pulling soil when it floods all the way up, which isn't too often. But when it does do it, that you get that erosion.
I think it would make sense to do it, but again, let's get a bigger picture, bigger plan of what we want to do, how to move forward with that building. If council is okay with that, we can definitely discuss it at our, as part of our planning session next week. We okay with that?
Yeah.
Appreciate your time, Aaron.
Yeah.
Then,
No, you're welcome. I'm gonna stand here in the next one.
makes sense, exactly.
Looking for answers.
Yeah,
Quite a bigger project here that we have.
yep, so Danielle and I presented, Alex and I presented, and Danielle, we provided Danielle a report, last time for phase 1 through 5. During that meeting, you asked for a proposal for the additional areas which we provided. It is, adding those areas obviously puts it over the original budget, so I think, Danielle and I were just kind of going over the different versions of how to proceed, get the additional areas back up to speed, and then do, I think, at 6 and 7. And then possibly looking at 8 through 10 in that budget. So. That's really that thing. So if you have any questions or anything, basically 1 through 5 is the survey of the area, the stream bank assessment. So we'll update the report and the memo. We'll do a endangered species review. Some of those tasks were considerably less than the original, just because we've kind of done a lot of the legwork now, just adding in the additional areas. And then the feasibility stabilization, those 3 reports will be updated. And then 6 would be to develop the funding strategy, and 7's the big one, the hydraulic analysis, which would include the modeling. And that's really one of the beefier things that you have to do. You have to do a big model, grass model and all that, which is for permitting purposes, and also to see, you have to show, how you're affecting it. You can't just go out and do stuff. So that'll position us well to go into the construction document phase if we did choose that route.
The option 1 versus the option two. I just want to clarify, you know, that I got it all correct. So the option one is going to catch us up only for those additional properties, as were stated. And so we'll have tasks 1 through 5 complete for all of the properties. The option two that you've given us, obviously, is stating here, it's the catch up 1 through 5 plus tasks 6 and 7. Is it reasonable to say that we should be, do we have the time? I mean, I know everyone always says time is of the essence, and we can wait on things. We've been waiting for quite a period of time for the erosion, having the money to acknowledge and begin to work on the issue.
Right.
Thoughts on the timeframe?
I mean, getting the heck grass modeling will be good to get ahead of, because you took sections and now the river's obviously changing, you know, daily. So the quicker you can get that done, the better. For permitting purposes, they like to see the sections that the model's based on to be relatively, you know, recent. As far as so if you did the catch up and then 6 and 7, and then push to next year, the construction documentation, you'd be out there. You should theoretically, assuming it would be approved around the same time frame, bidding March or April of next year and constructing, you know.
It'd be the following year, would be my guess.
Right, so I would say we might want to include some Eagle permitting and things like that. We would probably do that just to get that kind of ready for construction, because that would be a bigger delay. So I'd have to, I think 9 might
But what
be.
was our timeline for the total? Because I thought we looked at that and it kind of matched up where we ended up. If we went all the way through 7, matched up our timing to bring it to council next budget year in October to finish
Right,
8, 9, 10. So I think it worked out. Because I get what you're saying, Gwen, but I think
we developed.
because of how the time frame for each step worked out, that it would have to come back to you guys like October, right after the budget, assuming that that money is approved for those additional phases. And that would keep us without having a gap in the
Right,
project.
yeah. I think where we're at with the project is, it would make that would work, I guess, if you're not, so right now, you're not gonna get, even if you just said, no, just keep going on the original, you're not gonna get it left this year.
Right.
As permitting and.
It's not so much that, I was just curious on the, option to catch up plus task 6 and 7 and seeing if we could come in here with 6 and 7 getting done as well. At the 92,000, if I'm understanding correctly, there's a difference of 15,800 bucks. And that's why I'm wondering if that 15,800. Right, 15,900, okay, thank you, 15,900. It sure is, okay. I wonder if that would behoove us to look at that because of the time frame, and I know how sometimes with the Eagle and the certification, I know all that takes time,
Yeah,
and I was just.
well, not only that
something for
is,
discussion.
how do we have the funding mechanism to actually do construction? Does the bank change over the 2, 3, 5, 10 years that we have the save funds to do it? Because we obviously are gonna have to do it phases. There's no way we can afford to do it all.
Well, that's part of the developed funding strategy, hopefully there's some
Right.
grants. and
But then,
things.
you know, does the river change and then we're going back and spending more money to re-engineer and everything? We certainly don't want to do that, so.
Right. So that's, yeah, so
And we've already met with the NR too, so hopefully we can get some grant funding to help. But I did recommend, my recommendation to you guys would be that we catch up with the additional areas, which would be 1 through 7, and then the existing areas that they've been working on, then have completed through 5, that we do 6 and 7 on that. And that would bring us in, so, but all areas, new and existing, would be completed through task 7. That would catch those items up. It would be within the budget that we have this year. We would then bring to you guys, we would include it in the budget for next year, and then come October time, bring you the proposals for phase task 8, 9, and 10, and keep this moving forward. Also at that time, because the funding is past 6, we will have some additional information as to how we're going to fund that work or what those phases
what the
are.
possibilities are to get that.
Correct.
Yes.
So that would be my recommendation to council, and that's where the total cost for that would be the 92,800, which is within that 130,000 that we budgeted total. And and this is gonna be a future recommendation, but when we come to budget, I'm going to recommend that council carry forward any unused money for this project and then add additional funds to complete it.
So the difference between the 121,500 and the 92,800, that difference carried towards this project. Is that what you're saying then, Danielle?
So you actually are, look at, the recommendation is where under alternatives analysis, it starts with approve both proposals. So you're looking at a different option there, Gwen.
Okay.
So it says approve both proposals in part as recommended by administration as follows. New sections tasked 1 through 7 and previous sections tasked 6 through 7 totaling the 92,800.
Right.
So the 121 would be if you do nothing with the new sections. That is just to do 6 through 10 on the existing.
Existing, okay, that's where my numbers are. Okay, thank you.
So do you see my concern though is, you know, if things change, as we have to do it in phases, so maybe we start with the engineering, you know, we start at the park and we work our way out. So maybe we do the engineering, the design and the studies and et cetera at one location, and when we can afford to do it, at least we're timely. And we know that the banks haven't changed, we're not going back spending more money there. Again, if we have 7 different areas on the river that need to be replaced, what changes in that amount of time that we complete this entire project? I mean, I don't see this being a 2-year project. This is probably a 10-year project.
But
Yeah.
construction is not until task. I don't have.
Right,
But
So
task
you guys
6
aren't funding that right now, but task 6 is going to identify funding so that we know next year if we bid out part of or we do construction for part of it or all of it.
There'd be no engineering or anything. nothing.
And task 6 also does have a provision to kind of identify the basic, like what the advantages of where, like, these are smaller ones that you can bite off now, this is a larger one that you can identify funding for and do, so there is a little bit of that phasing identification in task 6. But yeah, so I would say I don't wanna say a meat, but a splash, yes. I don't wanna say it's the meat of it, but a large portion of it is that HECRAS model, which is task 7.
That's why I'm trying to come up with money to do that.
Yeah, task 7 is, that would be all caught up, and then 6 and 7 would be a very large chunk of the project, and then construction documents is. And in the construction documents, I could look, but I usually we put a little bit of like as needed survey, if something, we think something changed, we just send them out. We're right in Adrian, so it's not like a big expense, you know, they just come out. We would try to absorb that cost unless it, you know, it's like a week long survey or something, then I would talk to them about it, but yeah, so the phase approach is in that original develop funding strategy task level.
So within budget, if we combine the two, correct?
Only through task 7, yes. Correct.
There'd be the completion of 1 through 5 for old and new
The old is
We
done,
already got-
1 through 5 is done, for
Right.
yeah,
of the old.
1 through 5 with new, 1 through 5. Yeah.
Gotcha, complete 1 through 5 new, 6 and 7 from old and new.
Yes,
Gotcha. And that's the 92,800.
yes.
Let's start, I mean.
We can't
that's
get
Yeah,
something we have
I
to
wish-
take it down the road.
I mean, I would not feel comfortable recommending we fund all of it. I think that's the best solution. And I do think that, well, E puts us over. I did look at that
I know it
too. But my thought was it gets the funding portion so that I thought it would really give us a better idea of how to move forward or what phased approach we're going to take. But I mean, obviously it's up to you guys, however you want to do that.
Well, if we don't do something, we'll be replacing roadway, losing our park and everything else, so. Something we have to do at some point.
So our motion would be to. I'll take the motion. Excuse me, I would move to. Complete sections one, approve both proposals as part, as recommended by administration as follows. New section tasks 1 through 7 and previous sections tasks 6 through 7, totaling to 92,800 and budget tasks 8 through 10 in the next year's budget. Anybody want to support that? There you go.
All right. Motion Gwen, second Bill. To approve both proposals in part as recommended by the administration. It follows new sections for the River Raisin Study Project, task 1 through 7. In the previous sections, tasks 6 and 7, totaling $92,800. And budget tasks 8 through 10 in next year's budget. Any further discussion? That I call I rise every look for Daniel, Aaron, said.
Yeah.
Where we want to be.
I would say possible approval of the next number, or next year's budget. It's not gonna be-
Anybody else for the comments, questions? Now, Lisa, please call roll.
Sherry,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Thanks for your time, I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And Bill.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the fiscal year 2025-26 budget calendar. Recommended by Danielle, we just need to adopt it as presented.
I move to approve the fiscal year 25-26 budget calendar as presented. Support.
Motion one second, Sherry, to approve the fiscal year 2025-26 budget calendar as presented. Any discussion? Not Lisa, call roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Next is the water valve installation. With emergency purchase.
Move to approve the valve installation by city services in the amount of $11,500.
Support.
A motion in second, Bill. To authorize the valve installation by city services in the amount of $11,500 for the water line issue going down into the park. And this is something that would have been on the radar regardless when we do that, big bore under the river. So kind of just getting a piece of that project done beforehand. Unfortunately, it did happen in the middle of, the winter when we didn't want to look at it, but that's where we're at. So if there's no questions, comments, Lisa, please call roll on that.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Carries. Next on the agenda, the award for Officer Anton regarding recognition of service and his training. Chief, I'll turn it over to you.
Officer Anton became one of the few bid inspectors that we have in the county. An opportunity presented itself that he did training course of by the Secretary of State's office. It was just certified inspector, which allows him for a fee to inspect salvage vehicles or this sort of thing to ensure that they're properly documented for registration.
Yeah, what does that mean? Yeah.
So if you have, say, a vehicle's been in a crash and it's junked, it becomes, if you want to retitle it, you're registered, it has to go through what they call a salvage title process, and it becomes a salvage title. And in order to do that, if the vehicle is reassembled using parts from other vehicles, for example, Officer Anton has to ensure that none of the parts that were put on that vehicle are stolen. That's the primary thing. And to identify, those parts that may have a VIN number on them for the typing purposes, so that it's properly identified. It's extensive, a lot of the training is actually kept confidential, even for me, as to where those VIN numbers are. So he's sworn to secrecy, and he has independent websites that he deals with in identifying these locations where VIN numbers are at. So that's a good thing.
Motion regarding that.
I'll move to approve the award as presented.
Or. Tim got you this time. Motion Ken, second Tim. To approve the award for Officer Anton regarding salvage vehicle training as presented. Any discussion? Lisa, call roll.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes, motion carries. Next would be appointments to the DDA Main Street Board.
I move to appoint James Heitzen to the DDA Main Street Board with a term ending June 30th of 2028.
I'll support that.
Motion Gwen, second Eric, to appoint James Eaton as recommended by the DDA Main Street Board as recommended with a term ending June 30th, 2028. Any questions or comments? Not Lisa, call roll.
Bill,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Next, purchase of picnic tables, got a recommendation from Parks and Rec Board, DPW, and Amy.
Before I have, do you want to talk about it from the Parks and Rec perspective?
Yeah, I can talk about it a little bit. So we, in the budget process, we budgeted $10,000 for this year to start doing replacement of picnic tables throughout our parks. We have a lot of them, so our hope was that we would put 10,000 or some amount of money for the next several years to start replacing them. So I did meet with with Brent actually specifically, and we talked about the different types of tables that are available and the benefits and some of the challenges with those. All of those tables went to the Parks and Rec Board and they reviewed them. And they are recommending that we purchase there's similar to what we have now. They would have the metal legs and then the wooden seats and tabletops, and that's so that we can, if they are graffitied or damaged, DPW actually will sand them down and keep those boards looking nice. And then we are asking to order a couple of replacement boards just to have on hand so that if it's one that DPW can't sand down or repair, they can get it replaced, so our tables aren't looking bad. But they did go through and review all of that. I have it if you guys want to see it. We did like what the cost of each one option was, what the maintenance concerns or benefits were for those, but all DPW, Parks and Rec, and myself agree that this is the most affordable option and the best for long-term maintenance and longevity. But if you guys have questions, please let me know. And I'm just recommending that we purchase as many as we can within that $10,000 budget, which is a little bit under, but if we go over, it would, if we bought another one, it'd go over, but it's 14 tables and then 2 replacement sets. And then next year, my goal would be if we get additional funding, just to buy as many as we can and start getting rid of some of the really old ones that are kind of past repair for DPW.
Do you put these under a specific shelter or just replacing them once they're needed?
We've talked about that a little bit. I would like to kind of spread them out, but I think for BPW would appreciate them in one spot more probably, rather than trying to spread them out throughout the community. Do you have preference? You guys care?
No.
Well,
I'd probably put them on the one that gets rented the most.
Yeah.
That would be me. Whatever one would get
Well, and
rented.
I
the
thought it
most.
would look weird too if we had like some new and some old,
Yeah.
so that's why I kind of, initially that was my plan, but I afterwards thought maybe that wasn't the best option.
How many tables do we have total?
I knew you were gonna ask, it's more than that.
More than 100?
Yes.
You could
Um,
otherwise put the 14 in one shelter, like the shelter down here that takes 11 tables, that'll take 11, and it takes 3, they'll kill that part of it.
yeah, I have a list of the amount of picnic tables at each shelter in Ellis and Claire Bachmeyer. I don't for the other parks, but I could probably roughly give you guys an idea. But for rentals at those two parks specifically, we have outlined how many tables are included with that rental and how many outlets.
generally, we're supposed to make motion and then discuss. I don't like that rule. I always like to discuss things out there, either why make a motion, then tell a little more about it. My question is, number one, we have 8-foot tables down there. Why are we going with 6s? And number two, the redwood, if it's stained, how do we match that? You know, I mean, if we sand it, if we just get the plane, they sand it down, we move on, right? Or we paint them, but redwood, you're never gonna match that stain if you sand it down and try to piece kill it.
So the 6 foot's because they no longer sell the 8 foots in that style. They do in other styles like the coated aluminum and different ones. So that's why it's 6 foot. Treated, I don't have a preference on the treated or the stained at all, that you guys want to go with the unstained, it's actually a little bit cheaper. I just did that because I was hoping it would hold up a little bit better with the weather. And didn't want to have to put that additional work on DPW to stain them, but again, if you guys feel that the non-stained ones are better, I'm fine with that.
Right, normally, because you replace a board here and there, people like
They
to
are.
dig into them or
The other ones are all treated. like-
treated, exactly.
And these are treated,
Yes,
both either
Right.
stained or
but
not.
the stain won't go all the way through, so once you sand it down, then you're into your treated lumber anyway, so it's not gonna match. Good thing. And secondly, again, I guess the weight is my concern. We've seen, unfortunately, some picnic tables and flooding whatnot go down the line and we don't go down the river. I guess the 8-footers, I think the public or people would be less inclined to be moving them around than the 6-footers, and I think that's one thing that I would prefer is to keep them in the pavilion as needed or as requested or as we set them up. And I think it's just less, it's more seating, less chance to get moved or stolen or whatever, or washed away. I would prefer the 8s if we could come up with a solution, and that way they match what we have.
All the 8s, all the tables were down in the DPW building.
What's that?
All them tables down there were built by us. The DPW built all those tables.
So if we want to go 8 foot, we have to select a different style, or we have to order the legs and build them.
Yeah, we built the legs. In the past, we built the legs, the table. It was a pattern that's a part
You just get the steel.
from Salavine and cut it with rain on. Doing on winter projects.
Looks like the parks are for doing all the. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm trying to think maintenance and durability. Because
And we did talk about them floating away in the past, and so people move the tables regardless. It is part of the rental agreement that they put the tables back, however they're set up. Knock on wood, we've not had a theft issue, and then DPW is really good about if we are getting high waters, they usually will go pull those tables so that we don't lose them. And I think they would do that regardless of what style or what we put down there. Obviously, I do want to say, just for clarity, that if there's an emergency or something going on and they can't get down and move the tables, whatever that emergency is will take precedence, but typically they're pretty good about getting down there in a timely manner before it's too flooded.
Brent, do you have a cost of the ones that you built per table?
I wouldn't know what it costs right now. You'd have to measure up all the steel. There's a, how much steel it takes to build one and how much wood it takes.
I think one of the suggestions or comments being made at the Parks and Rec as well would be something like a handicap accessible table. And I know that, at this time, we're not looking to do that, but I would look at for the next time we purchase the tables, that perhaps one or two, be handicap accessible as well. I mean, someone could say, well, I guess technically the end of the table, but again, depending on the depth and the wheelchair, etc. like that, I think that that would be something that would behoove us to look at. Doesn't have to be with this first rotation, but maybe with the next rotation.
I think we get eight,
Up to
I
you
think we
guys.
could get eight, but, you know, very similar in price, that again, the 2 feet is a little difference, that's. More capacity and. Kind of match what we have, and I certainly don't like the red, but I'd rather it match, so. We replace the board if we sand it down.
I can try to find, because I looked at Uline and, is it Bell's Outdoors, I can see if we can't find a different manufacturer, but, I did just a Google search as well, and was not finding 8 foots in that style, but if you guys want, I mean, we can take no action on this and I can see if there's anything additional I can find. I can also get you the price for the ones that aren't stained. Like I said, I know it's a little bit cheaper, but they were similar.
$575 according to Uline's website. For 3, if you order 3 or more,
For the unstained ones.
for the unstained ones,
And 6 foot, obviously.
yep, same size. Unstained. That's $40 less per unit.
Brent, what makes most sense to you? As DPW looking at possible workload, like if we have to sand tables down to get this going.
Usually what you get is a complaint from a resident of someone's name on them, we get a bounce sander, and you sand them back down. Or if they're real bad, you flip the board. You know what I mean? If it's bad, if you got a gouge out a little bit, then you just take the bolts out, flip the board, and that's at the bottom. That's what we have in the past.
Okay, so workload wise. Regarding having to restain, I mean, in the past that we just had the treated lumber.
That's what we built them all with treated lumber. The older, real old ones were painted green. The real old ones, and then,
Oh, yes, that's right.
and then some of them that was in the Ricker shelter. Residents and families bought those on memorials, the red ones. There is some red ones that got names in them. And then were bought by families. It's in the Ricker shelter. Ricker shelter had all its own tables. They were all red ones with names on them. Still some of them without our names.
But if you guys want to purchase sometime, we'll let you whatever.
I think that would make the cost of them building it. If they even have the time to build them and do the 8 footers.
They don't have the time. Okay, to be fair, Brent will make the time and all of those guys at DPW will make the time because they are awesome and they will do it. So I guess I know he won't tell you, or any of those guys probably won't tell you that they don't have the time, but our DPW crew is stretched very thin. I am not opposed to getting that information from you. If that's what you guys approve, we will support that, but I guess I feel like I gotta stand up for them a little bit here because they do a lot for the whole village, and they are the crew that when something comes up, whether it's DDA or water or anywhere, they're the guys we call for help, and they're the ones that are kind of running and being pulled in all different directions constantly. And that's not to say that the rest of the employees are not awesome and wonderful too, but Again, if that's what you guys choose, I'll support that. I know DPW will as well, but that's just my.
So taking all of that into consideration, the recommendation for the Uline picnic table is the best way to go. Taking everything into consideration, your workload, the time to deal with these tables in the future, the time to have the tables now, this is the best way to do this.
Yeah,
That's the whole purpose for the recommendation, correct?
correct. And I am good with just doing the treated, but I would just, if you guys are comfortable approving it, again, if you want more information, but approving it tonight, then I would just put up to the $10,000 from Uline for they were the lowest price, and we'll get as many untreated tables as we can. I don't know, I think it'll be the same number, but just in case.
They've still gotta be built though, right, together,
Yes,
and that would be by DPW.
yes, they'll have all the parts, to put them together, and yes, that would be DPW. Or it could be part of our years.
When you say untreated, you mean stained. Because it's treated wood.
I'm sorry, treated unstained. I think I
Okay.
said that backwards.
I'm
I
like,
apologize.
wait a minute.
Yes,
That would defeat the purpose of getting.
yeah,
the
thank you,
bills.
Sherry, sorry.
Are the current tables staying at all?
Some are painted.
Some are
The
painted.
real ones are painted.
Okay.
I move to approve the purchase of picnic tables and replacement planks from Uline in the amount of. You want me to do the 10 taking out, or do you want me to go with that 9,600? I'll say it's $10,000.
I swear.
Up to $10,000. Thank you.
I'll support that.
We'll go ahead and second bill to authorize purchase up to $10,000 worth of picnic tables from Uline as requested. That's still the right ones or?
No.
No. There's a
That's
trade.
that's it. Everything else in there goes in treated, on stained. picnic table. 6 foot.
Orders. Okay. Further discussion? At least call roll.
Tim,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Motion carries. Up next, such purchase DPW pickup. You replace the 2002 Chevy truck. Blue, is that its name?
I don't know what the name is, so I just wanted you to know which truck it was, so I put
We don't
the.
have.
Next one.
Oh, it's the, oh yeah, it is white.
Okay. The
Two-wheel drive one, the one that was out the lot, man, back, the one that you don't want.
The one that we were gonna sell a few trucks ago. Okay. So the two-wheel drive white Chevy that was mainly spraying, etc. Brown wants to replace with a 4x4 with a plow. Got two quotes, 2024, 2025. Supervisor and administrator's recommendation, we go with the 2025. Any questions from Brett or David?
My only question, Brett, is naps.
Oh, we're doing my deal. And that's
Tell me what that is.
basically my deal is to buy it from the state of Michigan.
Oh, the my deal through the state, gotcha.
And that's why you gotta go through truck and trailer and do the my deal for the plow.
Understand.
So it's special
Change
governmental
and then buy.
pricing. Okay, is why we do my deal. So we actually pay, I think it's $130 a year to be part of my deal. And that qualifies us for state governmental pricing on equipment, which is the lowest price we can get. So that those dealerships or whoever is part of that honors the pricing.
You have to be part of the my deal.
Correct, and they can be part of the My Deal and still not submit pricing for that year as well, so it just kind of depends on the dealership, what they want to do or have the ability, because some dealerships don't like to sell government because they don't make money on it at all. Whereas if they were selling it outright because the cost is so much lower.
We worked with, I mean, I don't recall that being my deal before.
That is how.
Our police cars.
Was the police cars do that?
Yeah, we also bought our last DPW truck through My Deal. When we bring the dump truck to you guys, which is partially funded this year, that'll be a My Deal. So anytime we can do equipment and things like that, again, it's just the best pricing in the state that we're able to get and qualify for.
I got a couple, Brent, sorry, so, again, we'll talk about our vehicle fund, obviously, it's always kind of tight, our motor vehicle fund. And you guys always seem to make do with some of the junkiest stuff, unfortunately, I know that, so I'll give you guys credit on that. That said, thinking about our inventory, we use this two-wheel drive currently, sort of just a catch-all truck. Now you're looking for another four-wheel drive with a plow, which is an addition, so I mean, I guess explain the. I would love to provide each
Basically,
guy with
basically,
that,
a
but
four-wheel drive truck would be enough. They don't have many of the two-wheel drive, the four-wheel drive truck basically be a replacement for one of the other ones. If one goes down, we still can plow snow with it.
Okay.
Still can be used.
Right.
For winter purposes.
okay, so
That's.
do we need a whole plow setup, can we get by with
You can get by with it, there's just the two stainless steel plows. Another plow would be a spare. Basically otherwise the last plow was in 2015. So you got 15 and you got one with the last tractor plow.
And we have budgeted 60,000, so we are within budget on this item for either year.
Definitely was in our plans to make that purchase, right?
Yes. Yeah, and we had
definitely needed?
we had budgeted for the truck with that plow attachment. For the reasons Brent stated.
And then whatever we get left for the two-wheel drive, put back into the motor vehicle fund, we do auction it off or whatever.
Correct, yes, any sale of a vehicle would go back into the motor vehicle fund.
Move to approve the purchase of the 2025 Chevy Silverado from Continental Chevrolet in the amount of $47,372 and the power equipment from Truck and Trailer Specialties in the amount of $12,600 for a total price of $59,972.
I support.
Motion Bill, second Sherry to approve the purchase of the 2025 Chevy Silverado from Continental Chevrolet in the amount of $47,372 and the plow equipment from Truck and Trailer Specialties in the amount of $12,600 for a total price $59,972. Any further discussion? That includes all your whoopee lights and whatnot, we'll still have to sticker and label it.
Did you get
Copy of what you approved it.
They did, yes.
It's a real night.
I just listed it as plow equipment, but that includes all the lights, which you can see on that truck and trailer proposal on the agenda. I just didn't want to have you guys have to like say all of the things that with that,
Yeah, okay. Any further discussion? I would like to see personally though, before we go, chevrons on the back of that guy. Just more and more dangerous, people drive like idiots, I want to protect you guys as much as we can. And the chevron stickers on the tailgate, I think, whatever helps you guys be seen. It's, I see more and more ambulance, CMS, police, and tow trucks, things like that get hit. I want to keep you guys safe, so that would be my recommendation. Nothing further. Lisa will call roll for the 2025.
Ken,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Sherry, Bill,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Carries. Expensive, Brent, to me. I appreciate you. Up next, appointment to the Planning Commission Board. We have 3 members with their terms ending. We have 1 vacancy. Got a recommendation to appoint April Wolf and Jerry Hayes.
I move to appoint April Wolf and Jerry Hayes to the planning commission with a term ending of October 31st, 2028.
Or
Motion Gwen, second. What are we gonna get it to, Eric? Appoint April Wolf and Jerry Hayes to the Planning Commission with a term ending October 31st, 2028. Any comments? If not, please call roll.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes, carries. Number 12, approved zoning ordinance update. To be for a housing grant from Mishna. It would only cost the village $2,280 for $50,000 worth of grant funding to update that. We have a request from Danielle.
Move to approve the zoning ordinance update proposals from Giffords Webster in the amount of $82,280.
I support.
Motion Tim, second Sherry to move to approve the zoning ordinance update proposals from Giffords Webster in the amount of $52,280. Danielle, you want to talk about this or? Pretty cut and dry.
I believe it's cut and dry. We're looking at a year time frame. This will go through the planning commission and then council, and through the process vote, there'll be some public involvement as well. But I am very grateful that we were able to get this grant funding to help with this project, and this will be a huge accomplishment. It's part of our master plan with the village, and just one of your guys' goals to update ordinances overall, and our zoning ordinance is significant in detail and size and information, so I think this will be a huge resource for us moving forward.
I noticed something in here, Danielle, where it says, we are eligible for this funding due to our RRC status. So that was one of the, obviously, both benefits of getting that RRC status. One of them. So-
Correct. If we were not RRC certified, we would not be qualified to receive this funding. So,
Awesome, yes. And as I'm reading through your other information here, regarding to the background brief, I appreciate how you've taken into consideration some past practices of other groups of other businesses, and I think that you've made a wise decision going this route.
The type of thing, we're moving two Griffles from McKenna, correct?
we did not get a proposal from McKenna for this specific project. So we worked with McKenna in the past for the master plan and the DDA TIF plan. We are not currently engaged with them on any projects. But we are, yes, I am proposing to use a new consultant for this project. McKenna is they do have the ability to do a zoning ordinance rewrite.
Because in the motion, it says to move the zoning ordinance update proposals from Giffords.
It should be moved to
I mean,
To get.
because I got, so I went back through your background with.
Yeah, with Giffords.
Yeah.
With Giffords, and
Yes,
from
not
Giffords.
from, yes, you are correct. Yeah, I changed that motion. If Tim and Sherry are good with that. Yeah.
And this will cover the entire zoning ordinance, not just.
Correct, that is all of 216 zoning in its entirety.
Hopefully that'll help us with our planning and how we want to recruit new businesses, new housing, sort of all that kind of thing. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's free money to utilize it. Thank you for that. Any other questions? If not, at least call roll.
Bill,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Carries. Up next, be to approve the one emergency purchase. Unfortunately, the rooftop unit over us, so it's a cold in here. Shot. We've talked about this for a few years now. It's gonna make more sense to purchase a new one. We did try to get 2 quotes, which we did. We got the one quote for Blissfield heating.
I move to approve the purchase of the RTU from Blissfield Heating and Plumbing in the amount of $9,780.
Support.
All right, motion Gwen, second Bill. Authorize purchase of the RTU from Blissfield heating and plumbing, the amount $9,780. Any questions? Not, please call roll.
Ken,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Carries. And I think that one was original to the bank, so I don't think that's gonna replace it before 2004, so.
That's my understanding as well.
Up next, through River Region Watershed Council Delegate, Danielle's currently. I actually have quite an interest in the river, so if you're looking for an alternate, I would put myself out there, maybe that if need be.
The guy just wants to keep it. Under raise the watershed.
Okay.
Yes. I'm more than happy to continue this. We currently do not have an alternate. And there in the past has been a meeting that I could not attend, so it would be nice to have an alternate so that in the event I can't make it, or if you have an interest, Mike, I will not fight you over it. I can be the alternate, whatever makes the most sense.
Whatever you want to do. Again, we just gotta get the information and continue to disseminate and fight for, the
Yeah.
issues that we have with the river, so.
I'm really good.
It's usually, what is it, quarterly or?
It's semi-annual.
Yeah. I move to appoint Mike Gunter as the voting delegate in 2024. And Mike would be the primary and Danielle would be the alternate. In 2025. Apologies. That would work for you.
Support.
Keep them up, shut next time. Second, Bill, Mike Gunner as voting delegate for the River East Watershed Council. Any discussion? It's a Danielle alternate, correct? Yes. No discussion, please call roll.
Tim,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Sherry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Gwen,
Oh, yes.
Mike,
That motion carries.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
We have a potential recommendation that we do need to go into closed session. Is that still true?
Yes, we do.
All right.
So we will have to, our attorney will be on Zoom. We'll need to make a motion to go into closed session. I put the reason right on the agenda that's allowed under state statute. We will have to ask that people leave Village Hall. Unfortunately, we are not set up for closed session, so I do apologize. We will reopen the meeting. I'll kind of step outside both the doors. If you want to stay to let you back in, if you want to leave for the evening, that is fine as well. So we will close this Zoom, and then once we go into closed session, we'll open a new Zoom with just our attorney.
If people don't want to stay outside and breathe or whatever, can we get through the rest of it real quick and then do that? Before there you guys.
Completely up to you
Council
guys.
okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Okay, everybody okay with that change?
I missed it. I missed the change.
We're gonna go ahead with the rest.
Yeah, if you guys are okay,
Thanks.
we'll move on to the report.
Busy brain. Huh?
Sorry, Lisa.
Sorry,
You needed to
More
know that.
transparent there and get through this stuff.
a little bit, right?
Still have to come back to public session to get out of the correct.
Yep. So let's do reports real quick if you guys are okay with it. Danielle?
If you have questions, let me know.
Anything for Brandon, treasurer? No. Building and planning, we have the zoning administrator year in review report, end of year.
I would like you to, please give, Maddie kudos to that. I really enjoy, I like to see the year end report. It's kind of like, Chief, when you go ahead and do your report for the police, I like to see those year ends. That was probably one of the most complete reports I've seen, and I really appreciated the numbers, the monies, and where she spent her time. That was appreciated. Thank you.
I will share with her.
That was very nice.
Chiefs will be coming shortly, in the next couple weeks.
Waiting for some statistics from the sheriff's department on it.
Anybody, anyone else, anything for the clerk? No. Council discussion. Tim.
Yes, I do have one item for council discussion. Brandon, I was curious, would you be able to provide for council approximately the last 5 years of garbage tag totals? For example, in year 24, how much money, for the garbage tags? In 23, how much money for the garbage tags? And could you do the same thing for the water usage that's purchased out there, at the water treatment plant? I would just like to see those numbers and just kind of see where we're standing, compared to where we were to where we are now. No,
Do you want me to go back 5 years?
I just chose number 5 years. I just think it's kind of a cool thing. I got that idea from seeing Maddie's. I just like the combination and just seeing how things differ. I didn't know if Maddie would be able to do that, Danielle, example. If Maddie could go back in 23, 24 and show, where the village was, how much money was brought in for the permits and things like that for the years 23, 22, 21. I just like to kind of see that difference. I think that's kind of a historical bit of data that I like to see.
Okay, so I'm gonna clear about something with you. Are you
You gotta see it
talking?
again, Brandon.
Okay, I'm gonna clear about something with you. Are you talking down in notes? Because if I go back so many years, you have to remember the garbage tax used to be $9.50. And then the price doubled in 1
Yeah,
year.
if you wouldn't mind, so when the year, whatever year it was, the garbage tags were at $9.50, and this is the year and how much was made. What brought into the revenue, and the
Okay,
same thing for the water. Okay, 1 year, this much water was sold, and this is how much money came in.
okay,
That would be wonderful to see for the last 5 years.
okay,
I just shooting back.
okay. I can do that. I'm gonna email it to you.
Okay, I just like to see I like to see the data on that and see where we're going with that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That was.
Perfect. Anybody else? Just talking about the meter, replacement process, we've got quite a few done, correct, Danielle, what, 800 or so, you said?
Yes,
Well,
yeah.
we've got some holdouts in council, I guess, should probably at some point address how we want to go about that. People scheduled, we don't have a calendar, we haven't had contact or set up from property owners on getting that taken care of, so that's something we need to get scheduled and make contact with people on. We want to get that project completed as we can. So that's probably something we can talk about next Monday. We do have committee of the whole next Monday, goal setting. So we usually go through the goals, what we want to accomplish over the next 2 years, you guys, for the new members council. So bring your ideas, bring your, good, bad, ugly. Not only, let's kind of come to agreement as council on what do we want to accomplish. But again, I want personal things, what did you run on, what are your platforms, what do you want to see changes? Again, good, bad, ugly, let's sit down as a board. At least then we're all kind of on the same page of, okay, this is what, we may not all agree on something, but at least we know, get all the information out there, what we're trying to accomplish. I think that'd be a good start, and I may switch it up a little bit if Danielle's okay with that. I'd like to set up tables kind of like we used to do and have a roundtable discussion rather than more of a formal meetings process. But again, it's good dialogue, and we'll try to get people on board where we're focused on. With that, everybody be here next Monday.
With the goal setting getting out, I'm assuming we have the chart paper and all that kind of stuff as well. That's something that we've had in the past.
Yes, I shared those with you guys before, but I'll put those in the weekly summary again so that you have them. I'll share your current goals, and then I did, if you want to change the format, we can, but I did just kind of draft up maybe some changes and projects completed, and then council members throughout the year would say to me, like, add this goal. So I made notes of those times, so you can review those and see if you actually want to add them in or not. But I'll get that sent out in the weekly summary, and then those will be included on the agenda as well.
Okay. Next meeting, formal council meeting, January 27th. And with that, we do have the recommendation of both session to be consult with our attorney regarding trial or settlement strategy in connection with specific pending litigation. So I need a motion to do so.
I'll make a motion, we enter the closed session at 7:24 p.m.
Motion Bill, second Ken to move into closed session at 7:24.
I'm sorry to be a pain, but can we just clarify that It'll be pursuant to MCL 15268, section AE.
Perfect.
We
Appreciate it.
just
Yep, I'm on deck
technically
for
should
split,
always
great.
identify why.
Yep.
Thank you.
Lisa, call roll, please.
Eric,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yeah.
Tim,
Yes.
Sherry.
Yeah.
Ken,
Yes.
Bill, Mike,
Motion carries. And Danielle, you don't expect any decisions to be made, any motions or anything regarding said, after, or will?
I do not know.
Okay.
There is a possibility that there will be one next.
Just info for the public if you guys do want to freeze.
Yes, and we will turn Zoom back on, so if you're not able to come back, you will be able to view that on Zoom as well.
Okay.
I'm sorry, YouTube is what I was saying, not Zoom. We don't.